We live our life for retirement and you get to the end and you're like, okay, now what? We work so hard. Like, we've got to learn to enjoy now and like what gets us up every day. There's a lot of people who are thinking about leaving their jobs right now and transition. I mean, we went through a big year and it's like, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, you got to have a reason to get up and you got to get paid for something. I mean, you can't, we're not going to get these checks in the mail forever. So what is that gets you up every day for sure?
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Go Live with Joshua Scott. This is episode number 33, and I am sitting here so excited today about my guest, Laura Nelson, formerly Hatch of Front Office Rocks. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here with you. I've been waiting for the invite. I was teasing you guys. I'm super excited.
Yeah, man. Let me start from the beginning a little bit because I don't ever think I heard how did you end up in dentistry to begin with?
Well, do you want the long or the short? Let's see. So my background is human resources and organizational development. I was an undergrad and I met a guy who wanted to be a dentist or mechanic. I was all about mechanic because I don't love the dentist, but he decided to go to dental school. So I got married into dentistry. I had no intention of running the practice or being in dentistry. I was doing the corporate thing, but he decided to open his own practice and I have the business, he has the dental. It was like, you run the front, I'll be in the back. So that's kind of how I got thrown into it. At the time we had a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then a brand new practice. And it was before the internet, before all this kind of stuff. I had magazine articles and I'd go see the speakers speak when they came to town, but I didn't know anything about running a dental office, but I knew how to run a business. I knew customer service, I knew systems, I knew hiring and firing and all of that. And so we just applied what I knew into the business. I learned the dental, I learned the codes, I learned, everything dental that we have to know. And we had a practice on the East Coast. We sold it. We moved to California and opened a practice on the West Coast. So I've had the opportunity to open 2 scratch practices, do it one time not knowing anything, one time having some knowledge and being able to compare and contrast, the pros and cons of doing it. So that's kind of how I got thrown into dentistry.
Gotcha. It had to be a really just natural fit, right? Like bringing the business side into it probably just helped grow it right away.
You would think so. You would think so. But the biggest issue, and just a disclaimer now, I'm no longer married to the dentist, right? But we're on good terms and I could talk about dentist all day long. You would think so. But during dental school, when he was in dental school, he went to one of the best dental schools in the country. They didn't teach anything about the business side of things.
Right.
So even though we were married and he wanted to grow the practice and I wanted to grow the practice, we saw it from 2 different points of view.
Okay.
Which I think is one of the biggest dichotomies we have in our industry, is that the dentist sees it from the dentist point of view, which is typically clinical, production, numbers, like patients. And then if you've got a business point of view, which like you and I and other people do, neither of them are right or neither of them are wrong. The issue is trying to blend the two. And that's really the challenge I think we have in running our practices.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you went to California, is that when you landed in San Diego?
Yeah. So we had come out here for a training in 2006, December, and it was freezing cold in Baltimore. That's where we lived. It was so cold and snowing. And we came to California and we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. So we sold our practice and we moved to San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I've always had this I grew up on the south of Los Angeles, early childhood, and have always wanted to go back. And Joanna and I have even had conversations, but to be honest, lately with taxes and everything, I'm kind of I don't know if it's ever going to be in the cards for me,
Yeah. I've never thought about leaving here once we moved here. I just feel like I kind of fit SoCal. I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm Midwest too. And then I lived in Maryland. I fit SoCal, but this last year, it's been tough. There's been a lot of times where I'm like, did I make the right decision? And if we could move, this would have been the last year. Hopefully we're coming out of it, but we definitely paid for it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've switched. I'm maybe there's a vacation home that we can Airbnb in the future or something and just go stay there for a month. But yeah. So
stay in touch with me. We'll do a house swap, or I'll go travel. You can stay here. So
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Done, right?
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, I'll get to that. I'm gonna invite you to Columbus at some point, but I'll get to that later in our time. So take me back to Front Office Rocks. Okay, so you're doing this practice. Where does that all come from? At what point do you see, Oh, there's a path here.
Yeah. So my ex is a CEREC trained dentist. He's a CEREC trainer. He was out speaking and bringing dentists in, training on CEREC. And I noticed I had something when I wanted to do something bigger than just run the office. And I noticed when doctors would come in and they'd be behind the CEREC and they'd be training with him and looking at the screen, and then they'd start looking up and they'd start pointing around the office. And they're like, well, how do you do that? How do you do that? Like, how do you get your patients to show up? How do you have a full schedule? How do you have a team that's happy? How do you? And then he'd say, okay, go talk to Laura. And so more people would come talking to me and they wanted me to come in and consult. I'm not a consultant. I don't like going in office. It's not my thing. So at that point, I knew I had something, but I had to figure out what it was. And with my background being human resources and organizational development, I felt the missing thing in our industry was good training. Like we can bring in consultants and they're great and they can motivate the leader and they can set systems and we can put policies together and that's all awesome. But if the person at the front desk does not know how to answer the phone right, or how to fill a productive schedule, or how to present treatment, it doesn't matter. And so I decided that I was going to make training videos. It was right at that time where DVDs were a thing. And so it was like, do I make a DVD? Do I make an hour-long DVD? What do I do? And I got some really good advice to talk about memberships and subscriptions and shorter videos. And so I just started filming after work, hours and hours and hours, hoping I was making the right decision, and it paid off. That was kind of the beginning of Front Office Rocks.
So were you like set up filming it yourself, or did you hire a company to?
No, I had a guy who had come in the office, marketing guy, who had come in the office and months before and said, hey, I want to film a video for your dental office. Like he liked the look and feel of our office. Yeah. I'll film a video for your office and I won't charge you a thing if you don't like it. But if you like it, you can pay me whatever it was, $500 or whatever. So he had filmed the promo video for our office and it was on our landing page or on our homepage. So when I had this idea for Front Office Rocks, I was telling a few people and they're like, well, we'll follow you around with an iPhone. And this was iPhone back then, right? I actually have a video that's really funny. If I can find it, I'm going to use it next time we speak. I'm going to use it. Right. They filmed me with the GoPro, but the GoPro is like that weird shape. So I have a video of me with a GoPro and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I reached out to this guy and I said, hey, I'm thinking of these videos. And so when we started, it was one camera, one light. Then it was 2 camera angles, 2 lights. By the end of filming, we had 3 or 4 camera angles and lights, and we'd set up a production in the office at night. And I had actors and team members coming in. So it became a production crew. The funny thing is now I do it all on my iPhone. Really? Because the technology has caught up, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, it was a production for quite a while.
Gosh, I love that. Cause when we talk about video, even getting like more than 5 years back, 10 years back, it was a whole thing. I actually, right before I got into dentistry, which is now like 19 years ago, I did a brief stint for a couple of years as like a wedding videographer. Mostly because I just had the equipment, but I was like burning, editing weddings, burning them on DVDs. And at the time, like it took all night to burn that DVD. And then like printing the label and sticking it on it. And so, I love that. That GoPro, that fisheye kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Like it looks cool on like extreme sports. If you're mountain biking, if you're like trying to communicate, like not so much.
Yeah, it was just because this was kind of a new concept, I think, of what I was doing. I mean, I didn't know that at the time, but back then, I mean, we're talking only 9 years ago, it was somebody who sits in front of a PowerPoint and you hear a voice in a PowerPoint, and that's how people got trained. And I just know the attention span of adults the attention span in general is just shorter. I think people needed real examples. So like in my videos, I had a patient getting mad at me about the bill. I had a patient who was late to an appointment and then had to go to the bathroom, and we're like trying to get him in the chair. And like, I had, all of the examples. So I would just kind of look all day long for like, there's a video, and then try to recreate it. Yeah. Just because it was, I mean, nobody wants to, no offense, but we don't have like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So let's at least make it a little interesting and show examples and teach people, how they can handle things.
Gosh, it's so funny. Where did the name Front Office Rocks come from?
Great questions. You're so good at this. You're A+. I was trying to figure out what to name it. And I was actually speaking in front of an audience. I had maybe about 200 people back then. And I was, let me just test the audience. And so I gave them 3 different names. And honestly, I can't tell you what the full names were, but one was like business, dental business administrators. One was front office rocks, and one was dental training seminars, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I gave it out. I said, which ones do you like? And then what word would you describe? Like, this is efficient and knowledgeable and training, whatever. But front office rocks got like fun, exciting, memorable. And that is really honestly the impression, the memory, the thing that I want people to walk away with. That was the culture I was trying to build, because what I was trying to get our industry to understand at the time is that front office team members are rock stars. Like, we are the first and last impression of every appointment. And at that time, I didn't feel like front office got the acknowledgement, the recognition that we deserve. So I was trying to represent a part of our dental office with that name. And so it kind of came out, it was sort of fun. And our dental office is Scripps Rock Dental. Our theme was rock and roll. We have an Elvis in the reception area. So it just all kind of tied to the overall practice that we had too.
Yeah, gosh, it's such a brilliant name for so many reasons, but I think like that stickiness factor, that like being able to build a brand around it, that memorableness of it is just great.
I'll tell you though, so many people since then now they're like rock stars, right? Like everyone's a rock star, and everybody that rock star. And people would come to me in the beginning, they're like, they're using your name, Rockstar. I'm like, I don't own Rockstar. I don't own rocks. It's just kind of as part of the brand. But like, I don't, just like I don't own training how to answer the phone. There's lots of us who do it. I just do it a different way,
Yeah. Did you, was that a shift for you going more like entrepreneurial, or did you always feel like starting those practices was like you were an entrepreneur in those?
Yeah, no, I have never, until about 5 years ago, did I even start to recognize that I was an entrepreneur. Like, I don't know, we were young when we started the dental offices. I was 20 something and I was a spouse, and we had to make it right because I quit my job, he quit his job, and we had no other, this is how a lot of us start. So I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I started Front Office Rocks, and I was a few years into it, and people are like, well, you're just an entrepreneur. I'm like, no, I'm a dental spouse. Like I just made things go right. That's what we do. We had no choice, And so in the last 5 years, I think I've started to think of myself more as an entrepreneur, but it was definitely never set out to be like, I'm going to build the next big thing for our dental industry. So I guess I'm starting to incorporate that a little bit more, but it took a while for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I think if you, first off, like being an entrepreneur is so like romantic right now. It's just people are coming out of school like I'm an entrepreneur. But I think for me, and probably same for you, it was almost like I don't know, if I would have thought that way, I think it would have intimidated me too much. It was almost just like, this has to go. So like we just do it. But if
funny, my daughter was in college for a little while when she first started school. And I said, what are you going to school for? And she said, entrepreneurism. And I'm like, there's a thing called entrepreneurism. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, for what? Like, what are you going to do with it? She's like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, doing what? Like, you kind of have to have a thing. You don't just, but they're teaching it. And I guess it's great for those that, but I actually feel honestly, now there's almost like more pressure of like, what's next? What am I going to build next? You're an entrepreneur, right? This is what you do. And I'm like, I don't know. It's sort of like you read these things about like sports, athletes who are really good because they love the sport, but then they start getting paid for it. And now it's a job. So there's that where I don't like that, because for me, it's got to come out of interest. It's got to come out of love. It's got to come out of, I want to do it. It's not out of like, I'm getting paid, or I have to. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because we see this in the dental profession, but we've seen it in tech for so long where it's, you get to a certain point, sell the company, and then it's like, well, what's next? And because of course there is something that's next. And one of my lines of thoughts is, because we're starting to get to that place where we've had like a couple offers as well, or people, it hasn't got that far. It's like people have expressed interest and I'm just like, eh.
Yeah.
But because I think I have to know what's next, but it's like for me to just, quit it. I'm like, I have no desire to do that. Like I want to, if that's going to happen, it's because I'm moving on to something else.
Right. Yeah, it's like we live our life for retirement and you get to the end and you're like, okay, now what? We work so hard. Like we've got to learn to enjoy now and like what gets us up every day. And if you don't have a reason to get up and you sell your company or you move on or whatever. And I actually just read there's a lot of people who are thinking about leaving their jobs right now and transition. I mean, we went through a big year and it's like, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, you got to have a reason to get up and you got to get paid for something. I mean, you can't, we're not going to get these checks in the mail forever. So what is that gets you up every day for sure?
Do you remember your first speaking gig?
Huh. Jeez. Yeah, I actually do. The one that really is significant, it was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking back and it was here in San Diego.
Okay.
And that's worse when it's in your own hometown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think I'm a better speaker than then.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that a space you always had like intended to get into? Is that personally fulfilling to you, or how did that start?
No, I honestly, I was always the kid in school that the teacher said she does great, but she talks too much. So there's that, right?
Right.
And then I do love speaking. I really do. I get an energy from it. I missed it this last year, right? It's just great to be in front of people and have people ask questions and stuff. But I don't know that I strived to be a speaker, but I love it. I mean, it is just definitely something that, and there's an evolution. I'm sure you remember, like when you first start, it's like, oh, I just got on stage. I got over fright of standing on stage. Most people can't do that, right? So there's that. But then you start seeing other speakers and you're like, oh, but I'm not actually that good. Like now I need to get better at it. And then now I'm looking ahead like, okay, I'm okay right now. Like I'm okay in the dental industry, but I'm looking at bigger people out there going, dang, like I just went and saw Dave Ramsey and all of their speakers and Simon Sinek and like all these people. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like there's a whole another level. So again, another reason to get up out of bed in the morning, is to like continually grow.
Yeah. What do you think you love most about it?
About speaking.
Yeah.
Um, I am just like, I don't like being a consultant. I have a short attention span when it comes to, I shouldn't say helping people, but like, I just like the get up on stage, give your stuff, energize, inform, whatever you're going to do, get off stage and go to the next thing. Like, I'm not a good follow through. Let's do a 6-month program together. I like to inspire. I like to see the aha in people's faces. Just the one thing where they go, right. And then you move on. So I don't know if it's just like the quick adrenaline hit that I get from it or what, but I do like that. I speak, I share, I collaborate, I talk, and then I go to the next event. I do like that.
Yeah. I think for me, it's always been like fascinating how you can move a room of people, like emotionally or mentally. That whole concept of like, you've got the stage, you've got all this attention. Like, what do you got to do with it?
But you've done some coaching too we both gotten speaking coaching, and what I used to think I would move the audience with is totally different than now. Like I think back in the first one, like you talked about, like I fire hose them with let me convince them
Right.
everything I know and hope they go home with half of it.
Yeah.
Now it's totally different. It's like, let me inspire them. Let me give them a couple nuggets. Let me help them process it so they walk away with something. It's not so much about you, and I've heard that too. It's not so much about you and, you're introverted and you're focused on you. And that's the case. Focus on the people you're talking to.
Yeah, I was speaking last week for Vivos, and Dino Watt.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks, and we were there at a dinner the night before, and we were actually in the car on the way back to the hotel, and he was talking to me, and I'm just like shooting questions at him. But he said that too, because I can probably tend to over prepare a little bit just because I care so much about what I'm presenting. And he kind of said that same thing of like, look, when it's about them, like then that doesn't matter. Like you're prepared in the sense of like it's in you, you've put it in you, you've prepped. But then there comes that point where you just get up and like do your thing, trust it. Like if your focus is really on them, it'll all work.
Yeah, I just did a 2-day event, it was so great. It was the most normal since we've come out of COVID.
Yeah.
It was 2 days, and I had a morning session, an afternoon session, and a Saturday morning session. So 3 sessions, so 9 hours in total. And people are like, oh my gosh, 9 hours. I loved it because we started where they didn't know who I was. And I got to tell my story and get some tips. And then we went into, okay, now what do you guys want to work on? And then we went into the next day, like they thought about their questions and it became interactive and they weren't nervous because, you know, I'm getting them role playing and talking and all that. So when we left, it was, I feel that everybody left with like, okay, I can take this stuff. I can learn from this. I can grow from it. That was not that I want to do 9 hours all the time, but it was a great way to come out of COVID and just be like, we're back to like some normal stuff again.
That's a pretty big contrast to like a Smiles at Sea, like 8 to 10
Right.
minutes. Do you enjoy those kind of like short ones?
No, not as much. Yeah. I mean, I like an hour to 90 minutes is kind of my sweet spot. If I had to choose the 10-minute ones, I mean, we've done it. We just did it, right? It's so much on every word matters, especially when you're competing. You know, the competing thing is kind of goofy, but funny in a way. When you're competing and every word does matter, I don't like that as much because then you get more introverted. You get more on like, did I say this? Did I say that? Did I tell the joke the right way? Did I time it right? I would rather, you know, if I've got an hour and I know I'm going to hit 3 major points and I can tell some stories and I can interact with the audience, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah. No, it's like when you get under 10 minutes, I almost for that one, it was like 2 years ago in 2019. I wrote it out word for word just to kind of like not memorize it, but have this familiarity with like the script of it and make sure it fit that timing.
Right.
Then I kind of created this like brief outline that I could just keep in my head to like walk through the pieces. Because it's got to be like super efficient and to the point, but you also, if you try to memorize it, it's just going to mess you up on stage.
So we have to tell the story about this last time because it's probably going to be in my speaker story going forward. So do you want to tell it or do you want me to tell it? Because that was brilliant what you did.
Yeah, I'll let you tell from your perspective because I know.
Okay. So Joshua mentioned early on, we had this little competition. Like, I don't even know how speaking competitions became a thing, but I'm pretty competitive and I like to speak and compete. And I've done Smiles at Sea a couple of times. I've done one for Speaking Consulting Network, all of that. And you went up right before me. We were competing against people who probably weren't seasoned speakers. So we kind of knew we were going to do okay compared to some of the people ahead of us, which was fine. You went up before me, you killed it. That was the best I've seen you speak. So you killed it up there. And I thought, okay, game on. I'm going up next. I got 10 minutes. You know, this will be good. And as you're stepping off, you take a step and then you back up, you go, wait, I have one more thing I need to say. And I was like, okay, here it goes, right? And you say, do me a favor. If you guys could just do me one favor, at the end of this, you're going to get a chance to vote. And we're in a competition for the best speaker. And and here's the words that were the funniest of what you said, since I was 5, all I've ever wanted to do was beat Laura in a speaking competition. So if you could vote for me, I greatly appreciate it. You stole the stage. You got a laugh. You took me off my playing a little bit. I was like, all right, game on. It was brilliant. That was an awesome move. I loved it.
It's funny when you tell it makes me laugh again. Yeah, I was just like, I was trying to think of the whole time, how could I throw you off your game? And there was a moment where I was actually going to go back to one of your other speeches and memorize like the first like minute and just like launch into it, like telling your story that you usually tell. And you're going to be like, what is he doing? Like this is my speech. But yeah, at the end, I was just like, you know, I tried to almost like fake this emotion. Like ever since I've been small, I've had one dream, had a pause for dramatic effect.
You did great.
And, but now, you know, crazy is like, you still won. Like I'm like, we know she's going to win. Like she'll get votes, guys. Like, that's fine. Like, do me a favor.
Technically the other person won because they had
so for me that's all there is.
But let me do a contrast and compare. Like, this is a conversation, right? Let me just, so I was in another speaking competition a few years ago, and this is where what you said was great and funny, and we can joke about it, but we don't realize sometimes some of the things we say and how it sticks with people. Like, you know, I was competing against someone else, and you and I have a good sense of humor, and I was teasing the other person, and they were going up the stage, and I said, right before they went up, I said, don't trip. I was being funny, don't trip, whatever. They were great. I was great. It was awesome. I met up with this person about a year later. They said, do you know how much you got in my head when you said that? Do you know how much that bothered me? And I felt awful because I had no idea. It was like a small little haha joke, but it really got into this person's head. And afterwards I was like, I am so sorry. Now, luckily that person won.
Yeah.
So it was kind of karma on me for even saying it, but it's so funny how like, again, how competition and these things we say, and it's like, we all just want to do well. You're getting on stage, just kill it. That's all we want. But I felt really bad after that one.
No, for sure. That's probably why we get along, because I appreciate the trash talking part of a competition. And
Right?
sometimes, like, look, if I'm out playing basketball, which my skill set is not where it should be, I will trash talk more because I'm trying to like offset that, and I'm really trying to get in somebody's head. But at the same time, I mean, you and I were, before we even both got up there, just kind of going back and forth with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For me, my philosophy in life, if it's not fun, don't do it.
yeah.
Like if it's not, and it's hard. I mean, when you're in a competition or you're up against major things you have to work on, or you're working long hours or whatever, sometimes it's hard, but you got to find ways to have fun. You got to find ways to have fun, or go find something that makes it fun, because I mean, if it's not fun, don't do it, and we've just come out of a really long year. So it's time to start getting the fun back into like our everyday lives and what we're doing. So
For sure. Yeah. Tell me about, so Front Office Rocks grew a ton. I mean, congrats to you guys for building that. And I've always heard nothing but positive feedback. This last year and a half, you partnered with DentalWell. Tell us about that. And yeah, what's exciting about that for you?
So I was not, it's actually been little over 2 years since I partnered with DentalWell. And I was not looking to partner with anyone. I mean, I was kind of off doing my own thing. The timing was probably good for me in the sense of what I just said. If it's not fun, don't do it.
Yeah.
It was getting a little drudgery, a little bit of like maintenance and keeping it going and all of that. I had a team of like 15 and all of that. So I was probably at a good mental state. And then they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to partner with you. Let us tell you what we've got going on. And so I knew nothing about DentalWell. At the time, I was traveling around with like you and everybody else asking people, have you ever heard of DentalWell? Nobody heard of them, like very little. They were like, oh, maybe, I don't know. And so I started doing my research, and when I was meeting with them, I was like, hey, nobody's ever heard of you. And they're like, that's on purpose, because we're trying to build what we've got before we launch, which I think is super smart, because I mean, there's so many people. I mean, you saw it when we were at Smiles at Sea. Everyone's got ideas of what they're going to do one day. Like we're going to get there, which is great. Everybody should have ideas, but like they were trying to build first. And so DentalWell, the entrepreneur who started DentalWell, he's a big thinker. He got into our industry, saw some of the things missing in our industry, and is looking to change our industry. The way he describes it is it's like the easy button for dental. One place where you can get, supplies, equipment repair, marketing help, phone calls, outsourcing, education, training, like just everything in one platform. And so they were building it over the last couple of years, and we're kind of out there launched now. We're a big partner. We're going to be at Smiles at Sea and all of that. And I loved it because of the education part of it. Okay. I knew Front Office Rocks had this much of the industry, had this much of the, I still go to meetings. People are like, who have never heard of Front Office Rocks? And that, I guess that's a good thing, right? But I wanted to be part of a bigger game. I want to be part of a bigger platform. I want to be part of a bigger education opportunities for our industry. And so I just loved what DentalWell was putting together on the platform. It's called Orca. And so I partnered with them 2 years ago, and I've been involved with them ever since. So it's a great thing.
How does your role change, shift, look different with that?
It's funny you're asking me, because I'm going through a major change at the moment. So for the last 2 years, the whole thing was don't change anything. Just keep going. Thank goodness, because of COVID, like everybody just keep going, do your thing. We're at a point now that I've partnered enough where I'm actually getting the opportunity now to kind of go back to the beginning. I'm stepping out of the day-to-day operations roles. They've got a team, we've got, support and phones and live chat and all that. My main role now is content development, working with the speakers, working on my own, making new content, being out on the road, writing articles. And that's kind of where it all started, honestly. I mean, like I said, I got into the drudgery of the day-to-day and I was kind of plateaued. And now I get to kind of go back to the beginning, which is awesome, but it's a change, it's kind of like, okay, you've grown your kid up, you've sent them to college, right? Now you get to go and you got all this free time. What are you going to do with it? Right. And so that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah. Do you feel like your true kind of professional identity is like a content creator?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that I went to National Speakers Association maybe 5 years ago, and I saw a speaker who just went into my brain, where she said, know who your people are. When you're speaking, know your people. And I feel that my people are front office team members. I love dental assistants. I think they're the hardest working people in there. I love hygienists. I love dentists. But I know my people. And dentists can follow me, and hygienists can follow me, and everybody else. But I know that I speak for a huge, important group in this industry, and that's what motivates me. That's what I get excited about. And so, yeah, going back to, there's a whole bunch of stuff in my head and new stuff that's come out now that I'm like, I haven't ever written an article about that. I haven't filmed a video. I haven't trained on that. This is going to be fun. So yeah, I've got the opportunity to do that now.
Yeah, that's cool. You've also had other big things going on. Recently remarried. Can we talk about that?
Yes. Yeah. So like I said, I'm no longer married to dentistry, or no longer married to the dentist. I guess I'm still married to dentistry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a COVID wedding. So I met a guy a few years ago and fell head over heels, and kind of realized the purpose of my life was to, start this chapter of my life. And here we are. And then we decided to get married. We actually went to Europe, got engaged on Christmas in Europe, and then COVID hit in March. So thank goodness we got to Europe when we did, because, and then we got married in July. So I've been married now almost a year.
Is his name Chris?
Chris. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chris.
Okay. I was looking back. I was like, I thought it was. I'm looking back through your social. I'm like, does she tag this guy? Like, how do I get his name? It took me a while to
it's so funny because he's not in dental. So when I was single, and I'm just going to say right now, I love you two and your marriage, and I follow you guys and your trips and all that stuff. And I give advice right now: do everything you can to keep your marriage together, because being single sucks. Like this day and age, swipe right, swipe left on all these apps and stuff. It's terrible. So people would ask me when I was, single and dating, are you going to date dental? I'm like, heck no. Like, I was married to dental. Like, there is no way. And so he owns his own painting company. He's a house painter. He goes on trips with me. He loves to travel, but he's not on social media. He doesn't do videos like this. He doesn't do all that, which is awesome, because I can shut it off at nighttime now and step away from it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's why you're not tagging him, is because there's nothing to tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I don't know your experience. I love your guys' story last year with that, because I think COVID, we've just seen the opposite. I mean, I think Joanna and I, we were counting the other day, and it was like up to 11 couples, whether married or whether just like significant lifelong partners, that, have split. And I think that was just and we kind of knew that going in, like COVID wasn't just tough on businesses, it was tough on relationships. And I think it just got people to that point where it's like, this hasn't worked for a long time, and so I don't want to go forward like this anymore. But and some of those have turned out really great. Some of them haven't, but it was just hard seeing that, because a lot of them are really close friends we know and have. And so I love your guys' story. And I mean, it looks like you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Is that true, or is that just social media?
No. It's completely true. And yeah, I mean, we just moved in together, and then COVID hit, and we were in this house 24/7, and I'm trying to keep a business up, and I just partnered with a new company, and he's not painting at the moment. And it was like a little honeymoon for us. So it definitely, it puts tests to your relationship. Relationship.
Yeah. You guys are almost on social media. You're constantly on a new adventure. It almost seems like weekly, maybe you're going there to speak, but you're turning it into some adventure, checking things off the list. I know you've got this kind of state capital challenge happening.
Yeah. What's funny is when we met, so like I said, when you're dating online and stuff, you're trying to evaluate, because you're dating not just them, you're dating their lifestyle. They're older, they have hobbies, they have children, they have families. So you're looking at the whole package, right? When we were in our 20s, it was like, hey, you're cute, what do you want to be when you get older?
Yeah.
So we had talked about traveling, and he said he didn't travel much. And I was like, okay, so there's a small thing. Do you not travel much because you don't like traveling, or do you not travel much because you haven't had the opportunity? And he said, haven't had the opportunity. I was like, okay. Because see, I travel a lot, and it's sort of a hobby of mine. And so he travels with me probably once a month, and it's been great because he has gone, I think he counted the other day, 20 some states since we met.
Wow.
And it's like a new set of eyes for me because like I've been to these states, I've been to these cities, not all of them, but I've been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh my gosh. And it's like I'm 10 again. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I walk by this building every time I go by, you know, to this conference, but I don't stop to appreciate it. So it's a new thing for us. And then we just stumbled onto state capitals. I don't even know. We were in Boise. We were like, oh, it's a state capital. And then we went to another state. We're like, oh, it's a state capital. And now we go out of our way. We were in Missouri last week. We went to Jefferson City. We're up to 11 state capitals and we're laughing. We're like, we're going to be old and senile. And the kids are going to be like, we have to take them to the last state capital because we don't even really care, but now it's a thing. So
yeah. Well, do you know what the state capital of Ohio is?
Columbus.
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting right now.
There's the segue. Yeah, I knew you were in Ohio. I didn't realize Columbus.
Yeah, we're in Columbus, so there's a reason to get here. We'll take you on a tour of the state house. I'm like, doesn't sound amazing to me, but I'm sure.
The funny thing is we can get in and out in about 10 minutes and then check it off, right? It's like, need a picture, go inside, said we did it, then we're done. Yeah. Okay, great. It's on our list.
It's another reason to come see us, do some photography, like do whatever, let us,
You just had Anissa there last week, I think. And the pictures that I saw were, you guys do such awesome quality work. Like it's beautiful. So I saw what she posted. It was great.
Yeah, whenever somebody like that comes in, or like if you came in, our team does their kind of research and even just color palettes and backgrounds and skin tones with lighting, like all that to just some of hers were like really it was like a different level. I was impressed too.
It was great. So let me just put up, if I come, state capital is not something that's important. So that does not have to be the
I would never deprive you. Well, here's what will happen is like you would go, it's not important. And I'm like, okay, we're running tight on time, so let's not see it. And then it's literally going to be the last one on your list. If I would have just it off.
Well, we were in Hawaii. We just first started dating. We went to the ADMC meeting in Hawaii and totally hadn't started doing capitals. And so we didn't get to see the capital in Hawaii. And now we're like, I mean, I'm sure we'll go back to Hawaii, but I don't know. And so I'm like, oh, we were right there. We didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. Well, what's next on the list of adventures for you guys?
Oh my goodness, so many things. Let's see. So Vegas in July, which is going to be super hot. Yeah. Smiles at Sea in the fall. We have we're home a lot this summer, which we're trying to enjoy. I don't know if you know San Diego. You've been to San Diego, right?
Yeah, like once, yeah.
Yeah. So we live in Coronado, which is the island right across from downtown, like the big bridge that you can go to. It's like a resort in itself. And last year wasn't quite normal. So this is really only our second summer on the island. So, the 4th of July parade and the fireworks and all of that, we're just kind of enjoying being home when we can, and then being on the road when there's the opportunity to.
Yeah. What do you think you're most looking forward to, like the rest of the year, just professionally or even into 2022?
Yeah, I am looking forward to being in front of people again, right? That's like the speaking again, like I'm starting to see it picking up and I'm loving that. I'm excited about Dental Whale. I can't wait for more of the industry to see the work that Dental Whale's been working on. The Orca platform or education. Like I was just talking to somebody yesterday who's been in the industry for a very long time. And a lot of people ask me what's the difference, and like I said, back in the day, it was PowerPoints, hour-long DVDs. What we're building for education is completely different, and it's going to stand the test of time. And for me, I hope to be 80 laying on the beach and somebody comes up to me and said, you taught me everything about dental, like the videos to just be out there because, videos, these last, people can watch them. They'll watch my YouTube videos from 4 years ago and say I inspired them to be a better employee or whatever. So really just kind of seeing where this all, unfolds and where it takes me. I don't know. I mean, I have a couple targeted meetings that I would love to speak at. So my hope is to get a couple of these meetings and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. You probably have people. It's the weirdest thing when it happens to me because I don't even feel like I'm anywhere near that level, but like you probably have it happen more where people come up to you and they're like, it's almost like, oh, I've seen you on YouTube. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Like almost that starstruck kind of thing. And I'm like, yo, this is real,
Uh-huh.
like down to earth chill, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it happens. And the sad thing is I see where people make comments on the videos or and then I go and I'm like, oh God, I was fat then, or oh, I don't like my hair then, or oh, I can't believe that's still out there. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But yeah, that happens to me a lot
Yeah.
in the dental arena. It's not like I walk down the street and people say anything, but at a
Right.
conference.
Yeah. 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 Clarify. It's good. So let's like put it ahead 5 years from now, 2026. Like what's life looking like for you in an ideal, situation?
Yeah, it's funny. Between us, we have 5 kids, and 4 of them are 19 or older. So they're in college and adults. And so my daughter is always, when she texts me and says, hey, can you talk on the phone? I'm like, okay, you're pregnant. You're pregnant. Not that, but so for me, I'm guessing kind of a new role in the sense of like family, watching our kids go to college or get out of college and get married and have kids and be a grandma and do all that kind of stuff. I love what we do in our industry of speaking. I hope to inspire some more. I don't know. I'm reading a book right now. Actually, I just have it right here. It's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Oh yeah.
And I just finished Atomic Habits. So like I just turned 50, just got married, just renovated my house. Like I'm just at a spot where I'm like, okay, what's next, right? And so the biggest thing, I hurry even when I'm not in a hurry. Like and I need to slow down and I just need to appreciate more. And so I don't know. I guess I'll see where life unfolds in that area.
I love that. Are you the type of person, like if you're like walking through the airport traveling, are you walking fast? Like
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm
And
just
like I said, I live in a touristy town. So when I go, I have to go to the gym or I have to go to like, people are like, do. Half of them aren't speaking English. And I'm like, excuse me. So I go down side streets now. Yeah.
yeah, gosh, I'm so like that when I drive. I feel like when I'm driving somewhere, like the whole purpose of the entire world is to facilitate me getting there. And if you're in front of me, like
Uh-huh.
it's Sunday and it's all fairness, like you got the windows down, you're enjoying it, but I'm just like, get
Uh,
out of the way.
he talks about you in the very first chapter of the book, just so you know. So you'll have to read that book because
Okay.
he talks about it. Yeah. About the driver who's like always looking 3 steps and where can I get over? Is that one faster than this one? How can I get
Yeah.
around this person? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm literally trying to slow down. I'm literally trying to just, your kids are younger, but like when they're little and you're trying to build a business and you're working so hard and then, like you said, these couples who turn around now and they're like, I don't even know you anymore. I don't want to look back and be like, I missed my life, and maybe just because I'm having big things happening where I'm like, okay, it's time to slow down and appreciate life for what it is. I mean, the past year was insane, right? And it's a good wake up call. And if we don't get lessons from this last year, shame on us,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such a good point. And I'm that type where like I move fast through the airport. And what's funny is like Joanna and I will go on, like we'll do a trip for we've got an anniversary trip coming up. It'll take me like a day or two just to slow down. Like we'll be walking through the airport and all of a sudden she's like 3 steps behind me and she's grabbing my arm like, hey, are you in a hurry? And I'm like, yeah, I am, but I don't like for what, like I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't know, it's like this balance, like I don't know, there's so much going on right now, and these intense seasons are also usually the ones that are the most fun, but also yeah,
Yeah.
the balance is
Yeah. And I'm trying to like, I mean, social media, it's just like I'm literally I went to this conference, I read this book, I came home and I was like, you know what, I need to start changing some habits. I don't sit and drink my coffee and check Facebook in the morning anymore. I sit and drink my coffee and read a little bit of my book. And I don't know, I'm appreciating the fact that some of these things in our lives are too much.
yeah.
Like I turned off all the notifications on my phone unless it's a text. I don't need to know when somebody tagged me. In fact, I'm sorry, because you tagged me on this yesterday and I didn't even see it till last night, because I only check it when I have the time to check it, so finding little ways to slow down, I think is important for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Gosh, I love that. That's helpful for me. All right, let me wrap this up. It's Friday night. You guys are relaxing after a long week. You've just visited a state capital somewhere, flew back
So
home.
sad. This is not the legacy that I was trying to leave in my life. That's for sure.
Yeah, you just knocked South Dakota off the list and you're coming back home. It's Friday night. What do you guys like? You're ordering food, getting pizza. Like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? How are you relaxing?
Well, that's a good, we just got a pizza oven,
Ooh,
like the Uni Grill Pizza Outdoor Pizza. So that's my newest thing.
okay.
When we're coming back to SoCal, sushi's a thing. I'm not a sushi eater by any means, but I'll do the California roll. So sushi, and we love riding bikes. So get outside on our beach bikes at dusk and ride around and just enjoy. I mean, it's great to travel everywhere else, but SoCal is just, I mean, we were just talking about, there's lots of reasons to leave, but there's also lots of reasons to enjoy it. So, you know, we just went to Missouri and it was like 106 and humid. Came back here and it was like 75 and beautiful. So just trying to enjoy life when we're home.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Now I want to know for you though, that reciprocal. What about you guys? What would be your Friday night?
Oh, every Friday night we call it our pizza movie night with the family.
Okay.
So yeah, we get pizza. The rest of the like Joanna and the two kids are gluten-free, dairy-free with some allergies, and so we have a place that does those really well. It's gross, but like I will I will be good eating all week and really disciplined, but man, Friday night it's a large pepperoni pizza and I probably eat almost the entire thing.
Funny.
It's like 1,500 calories, you know, some red wine, and we just went to our basement. So we've got a nice sectional couch down there, a huge 80-inch screen. It's nice and cool. Turn off the lights, go watch a movie.
That's awesome. Your kids are at the right age right now. Totally enjoy it. Cause I feel like one of those parents when they were little and people are like, you know, enjoy it now because they grew up and you're like, oh gosh, I can't wait. Right. My kids are both grown, married, out of the house, live on the other side of the country. And I miss that time. So
Yeah.
as I feel like this older, wiser or whatever, but just make sure you do those Friday nights because one day they'll be gone and you'll be wishing for them for sure.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, hey, look, I appreciate you being on here so much, taking the time. It's really good seeing you. If people want to follow you, connect with you online, where's the best spot?
Yeah, just come to Front Office Rocks. You can find me everywhere. Social media, any platform, YouTube, there's lots of videos on there. Just go to Front Office Rocks. I've got a team who, if you've got questions on anything that we have or offer or whatever, they'll get anything that you need. We're here to help for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. It was good seeing you. I'm sure I'll see you soon somewhere.
Let's hope we don't compete again. Let's call it even, like for speaking. All right. That was a good way to end our little speaking competition.
I feel like I need one more shot. Like, like I think next time we actually like hype it up even more. That'd be fun. We should speak in a boxing ring. Like,
right.
Wouldn't that be like just go to a whole nother level with it?
You know what we need? We need to do like old school, high school debate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, actually, and what we should do, we should talk about marketing versus phones, because that's one of the main reasons I started Front Office Rocks, because everyone says that my marketing doesn't work. And I'm like, BS, it's your phones, like marketing works. Like we should have like an old school debate, you know? I don't know how to do that, but yeah. Elijah, if he's watching this, he'll figure out a way. There'll be a thing.
No, what would be fun is like, like some type of like moderator or somebody, but they can just throw out like a topic or a word. It's almost like freestyle rap. Like it's like, go, like you got 3 minutes. Like, what do you got? You know?
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'll bring my coffee. I'll need that for sure. Awesome.
Well, thanks so much. It was so good seeing you.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you.